All right, so let's talk about links in HTML. Have you ever wondered where the hyper and hypertext markup language, or HTML, came from? This is the lesson we'll cover that. In this lesson, we'll add the links that make up our website. Can you imagine a web page without links? At one time, that's how they were originally designed. Pages consisted of nothing but text. They did not go anywhere, and the page was all-inclusive, so everything that was supposed to be viewed was on one single page. And actually, at that time, most of them didn't even have images or graphics yet. Links added a whole new dimension to the internet. Links allow us to navigate to new pages that are part of our website and also navigate to pages outside of our site. We use what's called an anchor tag to set up a link in HTML. Using the anchor tag and the href attribute, we can navigate to internal and external pages inside of our website. So let's continue developing our homepage. I'm going to drop out of the presentation, drop into exactly where we left off after the last exercise. We're actually working with images. And I'm going to go ahead and bring up our browser so we can see where we're at. Because now what I want to do is I want to add the links to our web page itself. And what we're going to use these links for is actually to design our menu system. So what exactly is a link? The A tag defines a hyperlink, which is used to link from one page to another inside the website. The most important attribute of the A element is the href attribute, which indicates the link's destination. In other words, where that page is going. By default, links will appear as follows in all browsers. Remember we talked about those default stylings that are part of the browsers or part of their rendering engines? An unvisited link is underlined in blue. A visited link is underlined in purple, and an active link is underlined in red. These are built-in stylings that are set in the browsers themselves that make up the links appear in a certain fashion by default. So in other words, if we don't do anything with styling and we just add these A tags, that's what they're going to look like inside of our browsers. They can be modified by using CSS, which you'll see in a later exercise because we're going to modify them. And we're going to be building links and then use them as a navigation system on our sample website. After opening the div tag, let's go ahead and add the following. So what I want to do is I'm going to come right to where we opened our div tag at the very top of our page, and I want to add what's called a UL link, a UL tag, which is an unordered list in HTML. We have two types of lists in HTML. We have ordered lists, which are OL, and unordered lists, which are UL. And I'm going to come down right below that and I'm going to close that out because that's where we're actually going to put our links are going to be inside this UL tag. Now I'm just going to go ahead and copy these so you don't have to watch me type them. Inside the UL, I actually want to add 4 links. And these are signified by LIs, which are list elements inside of HTML. So I'm actually putting 4 items inside my UL. And the first one is going to be an href of #. By the way, the # just lets us know it's a link. It's set up as default just so that we get our little indication with our mouse that we have a link there. And you'll see we're actually inside these quotation marks later on in the exercise. We'll actually put links to other pages. But I've named my links Home, News, Contact, and About. Keep in mind that these are nested tags. You'll notice my LI has a closing LI. And my A tag, which is the actual link itself, has a closing A. My opening and closing A tags are inside that LI tag. So they're nested. We call that nesting in HTML. They're nested in the LI tag. If you goof up the nesting, it's probably going to goof up your page. It's going to goof up the way the page appears. So let's go ahead and save all those changes. This is a good time to pause if you want to type those in. I am going to go ahead and refresh our browser window, and you'll notice now I've got these 4 default links at the top of my page. They do nothing, by the way, but because we put the # in, you'll notice I changed from my pointer, changes to that little finger indicator to let me know that I can interact with those words or interact with those links. They're not going to do anything right now because you'll notice we don't have any links built in, but if you look at your URL, you'll see that little # symbol that we put in there that gives you a hint as to what we're going to be doing in a later exercise. So hopefully you've got that paused and you've entered all that in. The last thing I want to do in this particular exercise is I want to go ahead and add a footer to our page. So I'm going to go ahead and expand this just a little bit, and I'm going to scroll down to the bottom of my page, And inside my div element, I actually want to add a footer section. So I'm going to come down where my closing section tag is, and right inside there, I'm going to add a bunch of new tags. I'm going to come inside that div, and the reason I'm putting inside the div, you're going to see in a later exercise, we're actually going to use that div as a container that's going to contain our page formatting. So I've opened up a footer tag, and then right below that, I've opened up a P tag, which is going to have my copyright information. Then below the P tag, you'll notice the P tag is closed. So I've got my opening P tag, then I've got this copyright information using what's called HTML entities, which will actually give me a copyright symbol. And they're always started with this ampersand for HTML entities. And you can get there are a bunch of HTML entities available. This particular one, the ampersand copy, gives me a copyright symbol. Then I've got my copyright text. Then I've opened up another UL because I actually want to have footer navigation, similar to the navigation we're going to have at the top of our page. And then inside there, I've got those same 4 LIs for my home, news, contact, and about. Then I close my LI tag. I open up another P tag that's going to have like a little terms of use link to it, because you'll notice that I've got an A tag that surrounds that terms of use. And then I close my footer element. Footer element is the footer tag is another new tag in HTML5, and it defines that we have a footer to this particular page. So it saves that as a footer. A lot of information that we can put in footers, and by the way, you're not limited to one. I could actually have a section of this particular page and it could have its own footer. I could have a sidebar that could have its own footer. So you're not limited to one footer per page, but it does tell the rendering engine, hey, this is footer content, and it's treated a little bit differently for SEO. There's a lot of different things that we can put in this footer section. I usually put in navigation, terms of use, maybe some contact information. A lot of times I'll put an internal site map and social media links. So there's a lot of different things that we can put inside a footer section of an HTML document. I am going to go ahead and scroll up a little bit so this comes more to the center of the page. I'm going to save all these changes. Great time for you to pause to catch up and bring in that footer section. Once we get that saved and you get it typed in, let's go to our browser and refresh that window. Scroll all the way down and we can actually see how the footer now appears inside of our browser window. And notice we've got the copyright symbol by using that HTML entities that actually gives us the copyright symbol for our HTML document. So with that, let's go ahead and wrap this one up and continue on.